We were all children once. I imagined flying in the sky, and everything in the world seemed so magical and beautiful. But as time passed and we became adults, we became trapped in numbers and lived our lives forgetting what was important. The book that speaks of our lost innocence is Saint-Exupéry's The Little Prince. This book is not simply a fairy tale for children. Rather, it contains deep reflections for adults who are lost and wandering. Today, through this book, I want to revisit the true meaning of life, something we have forgotten and lived without. The story begins with a childhood memory of a pilot named I. When I was little, I used to draw pictures of boa constrictors, swallowing elephants, and show them to adults. But the adults thought the drawing was inadequate. From then on, I had to abandon my imaginary world and follow only the realistic path adults accepted. So one day, after becoming a pilot, my plane malfunctioned in the middle of the Sahara Desert, and I had to make an emergency landing. On the first night, as I was anxiously working on the repairs, running out of water, a strange boy appeared beside me. He was a small boy with golden hair. And out of the blue, he said, "Please draw me a sheep." This request in the middle of the desert seemed absurd, but I drew a sheep on paper. Unsatisfied with the drawing, he insisted, and finally I drew him a box with a hole in it and said, "The sheep is inside." Only then did he smile brightly. After spending a few days with him, the little prince told me about his planet. He lived on a very small planet, B612. It had 3 volcanoes and baobabs that had to be pulled out daily to keep the weeds at bay. And then there was a special rose. One day that rose bloomed on his planet. Its exquisite fragrance and beauty captivated the prince, but its vain and demanding tone bewildered him. The rose proudly displayed its thorns to protect itself, speaking to the prince, as if testing him. The little prince was confused, but he loved the rose. But his heart was broken, and he decided to leave his planet. He traveled through space, visiting many planets. On the first planet, he met a king. The king claimed to rule over everything, even though no one was present. He loved to give orders, but in reality, he only wanted recognition for his authority. The prince felt, the adults are too obsessed with authority and appearances. The vain man on the second planet craved nothing but praise. He kept taking off his hat and demanding greetings, even when no one was looking. The prince shook his head, thinking, these adults are truly strange. When the drunkard on the third planet asked why he drank, he shamefully replied, "Because I'm ashamed of drinking. I drink to forget." This contradiction made the prince feel the futility of the adults. The businessman on the 4th star counted the stars and claimed them as his own. But he never really considered the meaning of owning them. The prince sighed at the adult's obsession with numbers and possessions. The light man on the 5th star had to constantly turn the streetlight on the smaller star on and off. On that star, where each day lasted only 1 minute, he was restless and only followed orders. The prince thought, this man is a rare adult who lives for others, but he seems somewhat lonely. The geographer on the 6th star only documented the world, never traveling himself. He had forgotten that what really matters is seeing and feeling for yourself. The geographer recommended Earth to the prince, and so the prince headed there. Arriving on Earth, the prince was astonished by the sheer number of roses. "I thought my rose was special, but there are so many identical roses." He was deeply hurt. Then a fox appeared. The fox said, "Tame me." When the prince asked what tame meant, the fox calmly explained, "To tame means to form a relationship. From now on, you will be one of a kind in the world. The reason you have this special rose is because you took the time to love. What's important isn't visible to the eyes. You have to see it with your heart." Hearing this, the prince realized, while his rose may seem like countless others, it was uniquely precious to him. The prince bid farewell to the fox and decided to return to the stars. However, since he could not return physically after staying on Earth for too long, he chose to be bitten by a snake and return to the stars. The snake's venom would lull his body to sleep, but he believed his heart would return to the stars where his beloved rose resided. The pilot watched this scene with deep sadness and longing. Even after the plane was repaired and left the desert, he remembered the prince's smile every time he gazed at the stars. Now the stars are no longer mere light, but twinkling with the laughter of a friend. The little prince poses the most important question to us. What are we living for? The little prince chose snake venom to return to his planet, and the pilot was alone again. However, through his encounter with the little prince, he realized the true value of life, the preciousness of the invisible heart, relationships, and responsibility. Right now, pause and ask yourself, what rose is most precious to you? And how much time do you devote to that rose? I hope the little prince's words, "What is essential is invisible to the eye," will reawaken our lives. Which line from today's story resonated with you the most? Please share your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed today's content, please like, subscribe, and set notifications. Please also share it with others. Your encouragement is a great help in creating videos. I will always repay you with great videos.